Hey, this is Math is for Me with Mrs. B. Today we're going to be conquering math anxiety involving integer operations, addition and subtraction. Our learning target is that we will be able to add and subtract integers and their opposites. Let's first dive into this word integer because it does kind of sound like an intense word, but you're going to notice in just a minute that these are everyday numbers that you know and probably love. They're my favorite. They're the easiest numbers. These are whole numbers, their opposites, and 0. These are everyday numbers like 1, 54, 21, 1,089,089, -4, -927, and of course, like I said before, 0. So these are not weird numbers. These are numbers you're probably super familiar with. You just maybe didn't know that they were called integers. This is adding integers. 5 plus 3, that's 8. 17 minus 12, okay? Integer subtracting an integer. That's 5. 2 minus 6, you might want to say 4, but it is not 4. We are going to be diving into problems like this where you start with less than what you're taking away. Integers include negative numbers, which you may be unfamiliar with, so we're going to get to that. The best thing about learning integers is we're going to be introducing number lines. I know you probably used number lines for many years and you're like, Mrs. B, I am not in 4th grade anymore. I don't need to use number lines. However, they are never going out of style, you guys. We need to use them all the time. So any number line you can draw on the top of your homework, your quiz, your tests, just everyday math assignments, and they will never fail you. Number lines have stood the test of time. They are here. We love number lines, so we're going to be using them actually pretty much this entire video. Let's use that question from before, 2 minus 6, with our number line. So it's very simple. You just start at the first number in the problem at 2 right here. And then we're going to be taking away 6. This minus is telling us we're going to be going that way, okay? So when you subtract, you're going to go this way. And when you're adding, you're going to go this way. Now, we're going to do 2 minus 6. You literally just do 6 jumps to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that means the answer for this is -4. A lot of students do just think, okay, I know that 6 minus 2 is 4. And since I started with the 2, I'm starting with less than I have, so it's going to be -4. If that's how your brain thinks, that is outstanding, wonderful. However, I want to encourage everyone to use the number line because it will truly work every single time. Let's try 4 minus 10. So once again, we're going to start at 4. And then we're going to be taking away, so we're going to be going this way 10 times. Boom. That means that the answer is -6. And this does look familiar because we know that 10 minus 4 is 6, but it's not asking what 10 minus 4 is. It's the other way around. So you have to make sure that you remember that it's negative. If we're starting with less than what we're trying to take away, we're going to be in the negatives. We also could have a negative number in front, so let's look at what that would be. We would have -10 first. Okay, that means we're starting way over here at -10. And now we're adding, so adding is going to be going this way. So we're going to jump 4 times to the right, and then the answer is right here at -6. I hope you noticed that these two right here are basically the same question. They have the exact same answer, and it is the same value. This -10 is seen right here, and this +4 is seen right here. So this is truly the exact same equation. They just look a little bit different, and it gets us the same value. You could have a negative taking away more numbers. That just means, again, you start in the negatives at -2, and then you subtract 3. So 1, 2, 3, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So this is how you use number lines. These are pretty standard questions that you may be asked, and there is a special case that I want to talk about. So you could be subtracting a negative. This is going to happen all the time, and this is a great problem to talk about. You might see it notated like this, but typically you're going to see this negative number in parentheses, and it's just mathematical grammar, honestly. There's nothing really to it. So what ends up happening is there are two ways to think about this. The first way is that we can go to our number line. We're going to be starting with our 4 right here. Now, this symbol is telling us to jump this way. Okay, we're going to be subtracting. However, we're going to be subtracting a negative, so that is actually reversing it, which means we're going to be adding. We're going to be subtracting, and then that tells us, the negative tells us to do the opposite, so we have to go to the other way. So you have our 4, and you want to go this way? No, we're subtracting a negative, so we end up going that way. I do not have enough spots on my number line, but that's okay. 4 plus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So the answer would be a positive 13. Now, what I taught my students is something that I really don't know why it came to me. Maybe I have some bottled up aggression that I need to talk about. Probably should be seeing a therapist about this. But we have this here. If I erase this numbers, it kind of looks like a face. Do you see it? Like these are the eyes and this is the nose. So what I said is that this is being too negative, so we need to punch it in the face. And then when we punch it in the face, break its eyes, and then now they're pluses. Yeah, now that I'm saying this out loud on this video, I realize how violent this is. But this does work every time. Whenever you see two negatives, you're being too negative, punch them in the face. I do want to say, please never actually punch somebody in the face because they're being too negative. You probably should just talk to them. They probably are having some issues and they just need some love. So this is not actual advice how to solve your problems. I just want to say it does work to remember to punch it in the face, and then now there are two pluses, which 4 plus 9 is definitely 13. So that works as well. I have these two examples here that we're going to talk about next. We have negative 5 plus 5 and then negative 7 plus 7. We solve this the exact same way we did before. We start at negative 5, whatever that number is in front, and then you do whatever it's telling you to do. So it's adding, so we're going to be going this way. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This brings us to 0. Now let's do the next one. Negative 7, and then we're going to add 7. So our answer for this one is also 0. So we have negative 5 and a positive 5. These are opposite numbers. Negative 7 and a positive 7. These are opposite numbers. Interestingly enough, negative 5 plus 5 is the exact same thing as 5 minus 5. And if I would have asked you what 5 minus 5 was, you would have been like, Mrs. B, that's literally so easy. It's just 0. Same thing here. Negative 7 plus 7 is the exact same thing as 7 minus 7, which is 0. So you'll see this negative number is resembled kind of right here, and then this positive number is right here. These are all the same values, they just look a little different. Right here, negative 7 is shown right there, and then a positive 7 is shown right there. And no matter what, it's going to be 0. I have 3 important questions here. The first question is, how far is negative 4 from 0? Well, how many spaces away is it from negative 4 to 0? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this is 4 spaces. My next question is, how far is negative 8 from 0? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. And then my last question is, how far is 6 from 0? Okay, so we're starting over here. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, if you notice, all 3 of these numbers are positive numbers because I was asking you how far they are, which is a distance. And distance can never be negative. When you're asked about a distance from 0, this is called the absolute value, and it is always positive. So I remember this A is always positive, absolute value. So if someone says, what's the absolute value of negative 4? It's 4. What is the absolute value of negative 8? It's 8. And what's the absolute value of a positive 6? It's positive 6. And I do want to show you the notation for this. So instead of writing out all this or asking you in what is the absolute value, blah, 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 there is a quicker way that it will probably be notated. So it looks like this. You have that negative 4, and then you put the absolute value bars around it, and then you would just do this. If we wanted to do negative 8, the absolute value of negative 8 is 8. The absolute value of 6 is 6. This works for every single number. Decimals, fractions, it does not matter. The absolute value is always positive. Now that we're at the end of the video and you've learned about integers, their opposites, and even absolute value, I want to throw some practice problems up here. So please pause this video, do these practice problems on a separate sheet of paper, and then resume to check your answers. All right, if we're at negative 10 and we're going to add 15, we are starting here at negative 10, and then we are adding 15. That brings us to a positive 5. Another thing you could have known is looking at this, it was going to be a positive answer because this has more positivity than it does negativity. The absolute value of 15 is 15, and the absolute value of negative 10 is 10. And this number, 15, is greater than 10, and the 15 is positive. So that means our answer is also going to be positive. In this problem, there's more positivity, and that is going to rule over that negativity, so it's going to be a positive 5. Next question, we have 2 minus negative 5. You could have remembered to punch it in the face. Poor guy, I'm so sorry. Or you could have gone over to the number line, started at 2, and then you were like, all right, I'm going to subtract, so I'm going to be going this way. Oh, but I'm subtracting a negative, so I have to go this way. And then we went over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that gets us to 7. 8 minus 13, you start at your positive 8, and then you're going to take away 13. That leaves us at negative 5. We're taking away more than we had to begin with. So that's why our answer is going to end up being negative. We only have 8, and then we're taking away 13, so it's going to be a negative number. Now, something we did not discuss in this video was fractions. However, if you go over to my channel, you can find my Fraction Frenzy playlist, and you'll be able to find how to add and subtract fractions. All those are going to be positive, though. After you know how to add and subtract fractions, it's super simple to throw in a negative or find a negative within the answer. So what you're going to do is first we're going to find our common denominator, and then we just apply our addition and subtraction integer rules. So for this first fraction, I just found the common denominator. 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4. Now, we always put the denominator right down right away. So now we're just doing 2 minus 3. So you go over to your number line, you start at 2, and then you take away 3. 1, 2, 3. And there's the answer. Right, so I found our common denominator. I have changed 2/5 into 6/15 because those are equivalent fractions. And now I'm going to put that denominator right away in the bottom there. And now I'm just going to use my number line. I'm going to start at 6, and then, I'm going to add. So I want to go this way, but I'm adding a negative, so I end up this way. And so I end up just going one time over. Boom. So that leaves us with 5/15. And it is positive. Look, there's way more positivity than there is negativity. A positive 6, the absolute value of 6 is 6, and the absolute value of -1 is 1. So this is going to be a positive answer. Now, if you box this answer, you will not be correct because we need to simplify. And I see that both of these have a 5 in common. So the answer would be simplified to 1/3. So take a look at these practice problems. Make sure you got the answers correct. If you're struggling with those fractions, head on over to my channel, look at the Fraction Frenzy playlist, and find the video that suits you best. Thank you for tuning in. I'm so glad you were here today. If you are looking for more videos, please comment. I'm a pretty new channel, so let me know. Otherwise, thank you for liking and subscribing and just being here to do some math with me today. And this is Math is for Me with Mrs. B, where we conquer math anxiety. See you next time.